In this video, I'm going to replace these NanoStations here and up there with these two Gigabeam Plus. Alright, so if you haven't heard of NanoStations, I have quite a few. I have actually 8 of them on the farm, which are these things here. This thing here, that's an access point. This thing here is a NanoStation, and it's like a wireless cabled link. So it's point-to-point link, wireless link, and it goes from here up to the office, which is up there behind us. And these run, well, the range is like 12 kilometers, which is great because I'm using them on 42 meters. But they aren't that fast, and we'll get to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the one here and the one up there with these two, which are Gigabeam Plus, and they're 1.5 gigabit connections. I know. So why do I want to do that? Well, I don't have fast internet. If you follow my videos, you know I have Starlink, which is very good, but it's certainly not gigabit. However, I do a lot of work up in the office. I then transfer a lot of files down to here on the house that we're on, which is where the main server cabinet and the NAS is. And it's not fast when there's a lot of 4K video. So I want to improve that speed, and I want to take these things that get 200 megabit and use these instead that get 1.5 gigabit, and that should improve my workflow no end. But first, before we get to these bad boys, let's just check what I have currently and how that works with the NanoStations. Alright, so let's first have a look at what I currently have with the NanoStations. So here's the admin page, or the settings page for the AirOS, which is what the NanoStation runs. You can see that there are 2 here. There's a link between the NanoStation broadcast, which is down on the house, and then there's the NanoStation office, which is on this building here, and it goes across, as you can see, 42 meters roughly between the two, according to the GPS coordinates I've put in. Now, here you can see that the actual throughput right now is about 5 to 7 from the broadcast coming up here, and I'm sending down 23, 24 or 40, something like that. So that's just internet traffic. That's the NVR that I put up in a previous video. That's in the office here, so that obviously also communicates with the cameras that are down there, etc., etc. But you can also see that the capacity of it is about 200 to 250 megabit, roughly. There are other things you can see here that are pretty cool in case you haven't seen the NanoStations before. There's the Fresnel curve. So the Fresnel curve is an indication of whether you are going to have problems with obstacles. So you can see here that the height of these is at 283 meters, whatever it is, above sea level. Where up here at the office we're at, well, actually there's no number on it, but we're a bit higher, so you can see it goes up. And the Fresnel curve is these extra lines around the line between the 2 points that sits outside. Because waves aren't direct or linear necessarily, they go up and down a bit, you may have some problems with interference if you have obstacles within that band. So that's what the Fresnel curve is showing. And then there's a map as well showing where we are. You can see that the NanoStations run at about 5.1, 5.2 gigahertz, and they're on a 40 megahertz band, which is what you can see here in the middle. You can see the signal is pretty good, minus 56 decibel, millidecibel. What was it again? dBm? Anyway, whatever that measurement is, I can never remember what that's called. But the dBm, which is the signal strength. So very good signal. And then you can see there's other rolling stats, etc. down here for lots of stats if you want them. These are super reliable. I don't have any qualms about using a NanoStation. I just want that slightly higher speed. So with that, let's have a look at how fast it is currently to transfer data. So we have something to compare to at the end. All right, so if I minimize this, I have the DaVinci Resolve zip file, which is 3 gigabytes roughly, and I want to copy that to my NAS, which is on the right here. So if I just click Control C, go over here, and then we paste it in here, we'll see how long that takes. So this is now over the NanoStation link. wirelessly, so the network thinks that that's an actual cable, but it's wireless and it's running at, what have we got, roughly 11 megabytes a second, something like that. But let's just use a little bit of editing and jump to the end of this transfer. So we're at about 50% through. We're still running at about 11 megabytes a second, 11 to 12. It's pretty stable. Let's just have a look at the NanoStation. You can see here that the throughput has gone up quite a bit. If I go back to that here, you can see the throughput is running at 100 from into the broadcast here. So that's obviously us transferring data through to it. So I don't know why it doesn't run at full 255, but well, if that's the capacity, but we're only getting about 100. So we'll see if that improves once we've done the whole transfer. But yeah, we are running pretty steadily at 11 or 12 megabytes a second. So yeah, all right, let's jump to the end. All right, so we're almost to the end. You can see all throughout the transfer, we stayed very stable at 11 megabytes a second. Now, there is an assumption I've made, and that is that the link down to the house is the limiting factor and not necessarily the network or something else. I'm pretty sure of that, because if I do the same transfer when I'm on an access point that is at the house or away from the office, it is way quicker, much quicker. It'll take a fraction of the time. So that took about roughly 4.5, 5 minutes, something like that. But we were running at 10, 11, 12 megabytes very consistently throughout that transfer. So let's install the new Gigabeam Plus and we'll see what kind of improvement we get on a local network. All right, so let's first open one of these and see what we get inside, because obviously there's two of them. So always the good old unified. Well, this is not actually unified. These are UISP, which is the more internet service provider brand, hence ISP, of the range with Ubiquiti. So here's the Gigabeam Plus. There's also a Gigabeam that gets a gigabit. This is the Plus that gets 1.5 gigabit. Wow, this is chunky. So that is all metal. This is all aluminium or something. A lot of adjustments, because obviously you want to make sure you can point this in any direction to make sure you get the best connection. There's even a little built-in spirit level, which is very nice. So this is the dominant part of it, obviously. So there's one of these, and we'll install that in just a second. What else have we got in the box? There is another part of it down here, which is probably the accessories for this. We open that there. So what we got here, there's the power supply, and there is a PoE adapter at 24 volts. So this device runs 24 volt passive PoE. So that is so not PoE plus, not only PoE plus plus, not 48 volt. It runs 24 volt and it's PoE passive, which means you can use this adapter with a power point and you can put it anywhere, which is a common use case for these, because you tend to put them where you don't have connection necessarily. But I do. So what else we got? The bracket here for installing it. So that's what goes around there, and you install that on the post or the pole. Where the NanoStation is runs at about 5 gigahertz, 5.2. This thing runs at about 55,000 megahertz instead of, well, 55 gigahertz instead of 5 gigahertz, up to about 61, 62 gigahertz, which also means that the range is not 12 kilometers like it is on the NanoStation. It's more like 1.5. Still pretty damn good. So let's install this, we'll set it up, and we'll see what we get out of it. All right, so we're going to take the NanoStation off. Luckily I can use the same cable because I already have a PoE adapter for this particular NanoStation. That's the same one. But you might have noticed that there's a nice blue cables here, and yes, they are indoor cable I'm using outside. I am fully aware of that, and that is a future upgrade. If you want to know why that's important, check out my video, which is linked there, on why you should use outdoor rated cables outdoor, which I'm not. Anyway, let's get this off, put the other one on, see what we get. right, so it's connected. One thing I hadn't realized, kind of caught me out, took me a little bit longer to put this up, is that this runs on 24 volt passive, which I said before. The NanoStation also runs on 24 volt passive, PoE, but this wouldn't turn on. I had to use the PoE adapter because, as I read, the switch I have, the 24 volt, the 24 port PoE, doesn't support 24 volt passive. Yet the NanoStation worked. I don't know how that is. Anyway, we've got the adapter on, it's fired up. Let's put it into the UISP app. So as soon as I open that, it'll say new device found. Very unified. So that's good. Gigabeam Plus. Connection uptime 6 minutes 36. Okay. I'm gonna just, connection Bluetooth, because I'm close enough, so just change to Bluetooth. I'm gonna set that up and we'll see what happens. I haven't actually done this. Distance, great. Yeah, I'm right next to it. Thanks. I'm going to set that up, connecting to the Gigabeam, connecting to the device, setting wizard up. All right, set up as access point, set up as station. Okay, we're going to set it up as station. No, as access point rather. Access point is like the master, and station is the one that's downstream. So the station's going to be up there. So we're just going to set this up as AP. Right, that's how it works. So yep, we set that up. Select country. It's always an interesting one. Can I choose Australia? I cannot. So I'm going to be in the US. Anyway. Okay, device name, Gigabeam Plus broadcast. And I'm choosing broadcast because I've used that word for other devices here. So this is like the Nano Loco broadcast. The other one was the broadcast. So I'm just going to keep that. That is the broadcast access point because it's sort of in the middle of everything. I'm gonna keep that. Network mode bridge. I think that's what I want. Well, that's all I can choose. I'm choosing bridge. And one IP, yeah, we're just gonna let the system figure that out. Okay, apply that, Gigabeam Plus broadcast, applying configuration. And now we should, obviously we're not gonna have a connection because there's nothing up there, but we now have the access point part of the link set up. And then hopefully it's just a matter of going up to the office, setting up the second device, pointing it at it, and the app should figure it out, I'm assuming. But let's just see if this sets it up. Waiting. Logging in. Device configuration. Assigned to Merlewood Farm, which is where I am. The internet connection for the device appears to be offline. There was a DNS error. The fully qualified domain name part of UISP has failed to be device assignment is not possible because the device was not found in UISP. I'm not sure what all that means. I'm still going to assign it to my existing location in UISP. Device activation successful. All right, I'm not sure what all that meant. I'm sure we're going to figure that out in a minute. All right, and there we are, no station connected. That's correct. There is no station up there. So we're going to wait for the station to connect. So let's just go through the app. Let's just see what we actually got in the app here. So we have an IP address, obviously, MAC address, network mode bridge, AP's access point, point to point. So some of them can also do point to multi-point, but we can't do that with these. These are point to point. And you can see the frequency, 64,800 megahertz, so 64 gigahertz, 64.8. Channel width, very wide channel width, 2160 megahertz compared to Wi-Fi channels, which are like 40, 80, or 160. So this is very wide channel. LAN speed, 100 megabits FDX. That's not ideal. That should be gigabit. I'm wondering if the cable is buggered. But anyway, we'll sort that out. I'll fix that as well. But yeah, it looks good, apart from the LAN speed, but I'll see if I can fix that. Let's go do that, connect the other one, and continue. There we go. So it's on now, but I just want to show you the adjustments on this because that is not actually pointing directly down at it. It'd probably be all right, but I just want to show you how you can adjust these because it's kind of cool. All right, hang on. All right, so show you here. So on this thing, there's so many adjustments on it. So here, I can loosen this one, and then on the other side, that there, when I turn on that, it turns the whole unit sort of that way in here. So you can see we are now here, and we want to point it down at the house down there. We put the other one up. So we need to adjust it ever so slightly. And then there's also a elevation slider here that we can then move this up and down, which you don't have to do. And there's another adjustment here, whoops, on the side, which moves it left and right as well. So really, really, really adjustable. Once you've set it up, you obviously want to get it just right. Let's adopt this into the app and see if we can get some connection. All right, so that's now on the post. Those adjustments are really good. They're really fine tuned. You can move it really, really neatly, very precisely. So that's kind of neat. Yeah, it's a really nice device. Very, very good quality as far as I can tell. The build quality is very good. So let's put it into the app as well as a station. So I'm gonna again click on setup. Again, I'm connected via Bluetooth because it's right there. So we're gonna connect to the new Gigabeam Plus. And this is going to be the Gigabeam. We're going to set this up as a station, not as an access point, because we want to connect to the access point. Yeah, and select access point, Gigabeam Plus broadcast. That's exactly what I want to do. There you go. We're going to call this Gigabeam Plus, and we're going to call this Office, because that's where we are. Okay, and that's pretty much it. That's again, it's a bridge, and the DHCP is how we get the IP. That's fine. Apply that, and it's going to configure the device. Again, really, really easy to set up, just like anything that comes from Unify, to be honest, or Ubiquiti. The NanoStations were a little bit trickier because it's sort of an older wizard type thing, but also totally doable. But this new version of the wizards is so much easier. So, okay, let's just wait for that to be configured. And there we go. All right. It has rotate the device to improve signal strength. Best at 62 dBm. Okay, well, we can try and adjust it a bit. So if let's see, I want to move this ever so slightly. So if I loosen this side over here on the other side, and I can move then this angle on it here. See if we get anything that's better. 59, 60, 62. No, that's bad. That's getting worse. So we turn it back again. See, adjustments, really neat. Okay, 65. Let's just see here, we can get it a bit better. It's not bad though. And let me just try and adjust the elevation here. We'll see if that gets any better. 60, 62 again. I don't think we're going to get it any better, but you can play with the adjustment. If you had a longer range, if you had more distance between them, obviously you would probably need to do more adjustment because it would be a smaller angle of connection, I guess. All right, so I'm going to leave that for there. It's connected. Okay, signal progress and remote signal. Okay, but it says it's good, it's green, I'm happy with that. Click done. We're going to assign that to this location. So the idea is you can have multiple locations, and the access point could be in one location and the station could be in another, for example, but they're in the same location. Device activation successful, very good. Finish that. And now we have throughput. So now we have a connection between the two, just like we have with the NanoStations, but now we have gigabit. We have 1.5 gigabit, in fact, but I don't have 1.5 gigabit infrastructure. I have 1 gigabit infrastructure. So we're going to deal with 1 gigabit for the minute. Just like the other one that I didn't record this, but I updated it. So there's a firmware update. There's always a firmware update for new devices, it seems. So upgrade to 1.43. And then when that's done, let's try and see if we can do another speed test and see if we have improved connection between the homestead and the office. And you're joining me the day after. Obviously I've got new hair. I had to sort out some cabling issues. It's always the Cat 6 cables that's the problem in my experience. So I had a couple that I just had to redo to get that proper gigabit connection, which we have now. So here is the Gigabeam AirOS dashboard. Looks very similar to the NanoStation. You have the link, you can see the link potential is at 93%, whatever that means, but the capacity of it is about 1.5 gigabit as we expect. Now, as you can see above, I am getting 1 gigabit fully. Like, it's not even wavering off it. I'm just getting a gigabit connection. So that's really cool. So between the two, Gigabeam Plus, there is a gigabit connection. And then there's some stats here. You can see running, total capacity, total throughput, and so on. And then the rest of it actually looks very similar to the NanoStations. We can see the frequency channel width, the same as we saw in the app. All right, so let's try and do the same test again. So we're gonna copy the DaVinci Resolve, and this time I don't think I'll have to edit. I think we'll just let it run and you'll see. So remember, the first time we ran this test with the NanoStations, we got about 10, 11, 12 megabytes a second. So let's see where we're at now. So copy this to my NAS, which is down in the house, going over the gigabit connection. And here we go, almost 100 megabit a second. So we have roughly 10 times the speed of what we were before, which makes sense. Remember I showed you we only got about 100 megabit. I'm not sure why that was, even though they said it was 250 capacity. In this case, we're getting full gigabit. So let me just show you again the dashboard, and you can see here that it's running total throughput, going up and down a bit, 842, 850, but it is a gigabit connection. I'm not sure why it's running not exactly. I had one transfer, I did 980, and we should be able to see here shortly. There you go, it ends. So the same file took, what, 20 seconds? Where before was like 4.5 minutes. And that is gonna make a big difference to how I work. So that is the Gigabeam Plus. Really, really worthwhile upgrade in my case. I'm very, very happy with it. It's much easier to set up than the NanoStations, and much, much faster. If you enjoy these kinds of videos, please consider subscribing. I do a lot more videos, especially on Unify, home automation, home assistant, those sort of things, but also other bits and pieces. Everything is tech related. If you have any comments on this, anything I missed, anything you think I should answer, put them in the comments. I'm more than happy to engage with all comments, and I do reply to pretty much all of them, the ones that deserve a reply anyway. And until then, I hope I will catch you in the next video. Bye. If you enjoy these kinds of videos, please subscribe to